Well, aloha, Chairman Garamendi and Ranking Member Waltz, for organizing this important hearing about Kapu Kaki, otherwise known as Red Hill, and the ongoing water crisis on the island of Oahu. I want to thank the witnesses for appearing before this committee. The last time the Readiness Subcommittee met on December 2nd, 2021, I alerted this committee that the Navy was experiencing a crisis of astronomical proportions in Hawaii. Mr. Chairman, this is not an exaggeration and has proven to be 100% true. Thousands of families have been displaced. Those who unknowingly consume the contaminated water are worried about potential long-term health consequences that they may face. The fuel leak threatens Oahu's federally designated sole source aquifer, which the ranking member correctly stated provides 77% of Oahu's drinking water. So let me be clear. Clean drinking water is national security and cannot be compromised for anything. The facts speak for themselves, and we in Congress must understand the gravity of this situation. We must bring the full power of congressional oversight to bear on the Department of Defense to ensure that the Navy is doing its job of taking care of our service members, civilians, protecting the island's precious water resources, and determining proper management of this strategic asset. I have several important questions to ask our witnesses today, but my first question is directed to Admiral Converse. After it was definitively confirmed that the Red Hill well was contaminated with petroleum, the State of Hawaii Department of Health issued an emergency order on December 6th to the United States Navy to suspend operations and defuel the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility. That emergency order was resisted and contested by the United States Navy in late December. On January 3rd, it was reaffirmed by the State of Hawaii Department of Health in its final decision and order. This order has witnessed broad support from the communities of Oahu, the governor, the Department of Health, the State Commission on Water Resource Management, the City and County Board of Water Supply, City Council members, state legislators. In short, Mr. Chairman, the whole of government in Hawaii believes that the Navy should comply with this order. So, Admiral Converse, I would like you to reaffirm what you stated in your opening statement. On behalf of the entire state of Hawaii and a united congressional delegation, is the United States Navy going to fully comply with the state of Hawaii's legal order to plan and execute the defueling of the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility?
Sir, thank you. Speaking for my boss, Admiral Paparo, whom I know you know, and immediately upon receiving the order that was finalized on the 3rd of January, Admiral Paparo directed and we issued a tasking order that directs our subordinate commands and our headquarters to take all measures to implement the Department of Health emergency order. The well has been isolated and will remain isolated until we've taken corrective actions. We're taking actions to establish a filtering system for the Red Hill shaft well. We are aggressively pursuing the third-party assessments directed in the emergency order that will enable us first to identify and fix the problems associated with the operations and maintenance facility that caused the spills and the contamination, and that will allow us then to conduct further fueling and defueling operations, and that will set the conditions for the ability to defuel the plant. We're also conducting a broader third-party assessment in the overall operations and maintenance of the Red Hill facility and the environmental compliance associated with it. All of those actions are in progress in some manner, including the contracts for the third-party assessments.
Well, I appreciate your affirmative answer, Admiral Converse. That is great news, and I'm sure the people of Hawaii greatly appreciate the Navy's commitment to fully comply with that order. Admiral Stamatopoulos, per the January 7th task order from the Commander of the Pacific Fleet, has NAVSUP identified an independent third party to assess the system integrity to develop a work plan and implementation schedule?
Congressman, the technical evaluation process is just completed today. The Department of Health of Hawaii will receive notification of the highest technically rated vendor in that, and then we will seek awarding that contract here shortly after.
Admiral, just a last follow-up to that question. Per the task order, then, that work and implementation schedule is due in 23 days by February 3rd. Do you believe that tasking can be met?
Sir, I believe, and sir, you are very familiar, with the Red Hill location there. It is going to be done. A high-level implementation plan and work schedule is going to be delivered within that time frame. But as you're aware, the complexities of it may require more detailed engineering analysis if that comes to pass within that assessment. But there will be a high-level implementation plan and work plan, if you will, to move forward.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, it does. Thank you. And mahalo, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. Mahalo, Representative Strickland, and I really appreciate the extra time. And I will stay on the subject that you started on in terms of readiness, because this is a readiness hearing, and it's important that we talk about those thousands of military families who have been displaced over the holidays. My question is directly to Admiral Lindsay. Since November 29th, our service members who have been living frankly, a nightmare. They were told that they could return home by Christmas. That's what the Navy initially said. That never happened. Then the new year passed, and so I'm asking for the thousands of military families and also civilian families, some of them who are living in homes without running water, others who have been displaced to alternate lodging, and many who are either staying down in Waikiki or in area hotels. When can those civilian and military families expect to go back to their homes, to have a home that is safe to be in, that has clean running water, and they can have the full confidence that it's safe to move back? Do you have an idea of when that is, Admiral Lindsay?
Yes, sir. We want to make sure that the homes have drinkable water. And so we're working diligently with our partners at the Hawaii Department of Health and the EPA and our fellow services to, once we attain that drinkable water and it is safe to use, then that those families that have chosen to displace will be able to return to their homes. We expect that to begin occurring here in late January and proceed through the middle of February. Original estimates were not accurate because of the scope and scale with which we had to address the water system, again, in conjunction with our partners. And so that is the current timeline, late January to early February. And that schedule is posted on our website so folks can see it and be well aware of it. And we communicate that through the various venues we've been using to communicate.
All right, thank you for that question. And Chairman, I can't see the time, so when I do hit my the remaining time left from my colleague from Washington State, can you please let me know?
You have 2
I'll
minutes.
go 2 minutes. All right, thank you, sir. I'll go to a follow-on question for Admiral Stamatopoulos, and this talks about the structural integrity of the Red Hill tanks. In your earlier answer, you discussed the 20 Red Hill tanks, and it's important for my colleagues to know that there are 2 tanks that have not been in operation for many, many years, tanks number 1 and tanks number 19. Tank number 1 is the proposed prototype if there were to be a secondary containment type of prototype to be done. But when looking at the other 18 tanks that are or could be potentially put into operation, tanks number 3, number 4, and number 11 have not been inspected for approximately 40 years. So my question to NAVSUP is, or Navy Supply Systems Command, is why are these tanks still in operation, and how can you assure this committee and the people of Hawaii that tanks 3, 4, and 11 that have not even been looked at in the last 40 years are safe to use and meet current API 653 guidelines for bulk fuel storage underground facilities?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. Yes, you are correct. There are tanks, as you mentioned, that have been out of periodicity for quite a long time. The AP, as I'm not an expert within the API area, however, the API 563, of course, is a recommendation, best commercial practice, and after an inspection is completed, that could be then the next inspection 20 years, as you're aware. In these cases, all of these tanks are on a schedule to be, which is put throughout the ecosystem all the way up into DLA Energy, NAVFAC, CNIC, NAVs up the geographic combatant commanders around the globe through their joint petroleum offices, and they are aware of this. There are, as you know, sir, there are certain requirements for baseline activities, current operations, and then there are also war reserve requirements. So through that process, there are, if you will, shared risks, if you will, to determine which tanks will be up next in the clean, inspect, and repair cycle. And all that has to be balanced, if you will, with the geographic combatant commander's risk comfort, if you will.
Great. Well, I would recommend that tanks 7 and 8 be the next on those lists, because those tanks are 4 years overdue from their last clean inspect repair that was done back in 1998. And there's a series of tanks, several of them, that were all done clean inspect repair in the late 1990s. And I don't know if that inspection repair process done well over 20 years ago complies with current API 653 or Department of Defense Unified Facilities criteria for underground bulk fuel storage facilities, nor do I think that any of those tanks have the required or the suggested polysulfide modified Novolac epoxy solution that has been applied to the interior of those tanks. So that would be my humble suggestion. But thank you, and I will yield back my time.
Thank you, Mr. Kahele.
Mahalo, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask a question that I think is on the minds of many, many people in the community, especially on the island of Oahu, and that talks about the current Red Hill well recovery and remediation plan. Last Thursday, I led a Red Hill tour with area legislators and saw the 8 very large granulated activated carbon filtration tanks that are set up right outside the Red Hill well. For the committee's awareness, Mr. Chairman, these tanks can filter up to 5 million gallons of water per day. And it is my understanding that if this plan is approved, that the Navy will begin drawing and filtering millions of gallons of water and subsequently discharging that water into the nearby Halava stream. And they will commence this as early as the 20th of January. I have serious reservations about releasing such a high volume of treated water into the stream due to the possible unintended consequences and downstream effects. I understand that this final plan must be approved by all parties, signatories, as part of the interagency drinking water system team. That includes the Hawaii Department of Health, the EPA's Region 9, the Navy, and the Army will all need to sign this plan. In addition, a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit will also need to be issued. I would highly suggest that whenever those 4 very important signatories come to an agreement on how to remediate and recover this well, that before any water is pulled out of the Red Hill well to be filtered, that they fully brief people of Hawaii, the residents of the island of Oahu, before commencing, so that they can instill what my colleague, Representative Case, highlighted, which is confidence and trust that this is the best plan available. So I guess my question would be directed to Admiral Converse or Admiral Korka. What are the alternatives to discharging millions of gallons of treated water into the Halava stream?
Yes, sir, I could take that question. And first and foremost, thanks for visiting the site. It went a very long way, and I hope you had a good appreciation that we are working this together. And hopefully the feedback that you got is that we're not doing this alone. And as you mentioned, before we execute anything, we want to make sure that everyone is aware and supportive of our way ahead. And our remediation efforts right now is the immediate solution. The immediate solution. So we actually are taking the trade-offs of risk very seriously. Controlling the plume, or discharging the water in the Halava stream. And so that's why we've been in such close coordination with all the agencies you mentioned, as well as the University of Hawaii, because we're actually contracting with them to study the ecology on the aquatic life of the stream before, during, and after so we can make sure we're very mindful of that. And presently, at this time, we're actually in the process of awarding a contract to a local firm here to get an appreciation on what can we do, what are the options available for that water. Because as you highlighted, water is a commodity, is something very precious, and we don't want to waste that discharge. And so today I don't have the best answer for you, sir, but I will tell you that we will brief you as you requested on our plan, and we hope to have some other options available.
Well, thank you for that answer. I will also add that the Halava stream discharges near Hotel Pier into Pearl Harbor, and between where the Navy proposes to discharge that water into the stream and where it actually flows into Pearl Harbor, there are people that fish in that stream. There are people that crab in that stream. And that is why I think the Navy should make sure the public is well aware before that discharge commences. And I'll just take the last 30 seconds, Mr. Chairman, to thank all the witnesses for being here today. I want to impress on you, like we have been doing for the last 2 months as a united delegation, that we are at an inflection point for the Hawaii's and the state of Hawaii's public trust and relationship with the United States military moving forward. And up until now, that credibility and trust has been put to the test. And so I really appreciate your attendance today, and thank you for answering our questions. I look forward to working with you and the Department of Defense in the future. Mahalo, and I'll yield back.